Hey, my name is Dan.
I'm Patrick. We're the Black Keys.
And I'm Jeff Dupre, the director of This is a Film About the Black Keys. I mean, it's a concern with the subject of any film when you're telling their life story, but one of the first things both of them sort of said to me is like, oh, yeah, we have communication issues. So sometimes, not like the defining thing, but sometimes. So, I was like, well, I'm going to find out what they tell me. And of course, I interviewed them like numerous times over the course of a couple of years and turned out to not be an issue.
I think communicating to Jeff that we had communication issues was a communication issue that we had. A good example.
That is a good example.
I mean, traditionally, I think there's been times in our relationship when it's been hard to express how we're feeling, which I think is typical in any relationship. I do feel like we are at a point now, Dan and I, where we talk multiple times a day, and there's nothing that either one of us could say to each other that would be met with anything other than like trying to figure out how to rectify the situation. But I think in the past, looking at the film, some of this footage, from 10, 12 years ago, I'm taken back to like, oh yeah, this was a moment when we were like struggling to like express like, that we were exhausted, that we needed a break or whatever it may be. But I don't think that communication is an issue with us currently. I mean, I think that getting a band therapist could be a good premise for a reality show.
We did hire a hypnotist.
Yeah, we did. Yeah, the first time we came here was in 2003. I actually found my first pass the other day. And we drove straight down from Akron, 24 hours. And we had to stay like outside of town in the cheapo motel. And now here we are with the film premiering, and it feels full circle, but it does not feel like 21 years has passed, that's for sure.
We had a mutual friend growing up. He was an artist from Akron. His name was Alfred McMore. He was schizophrenic. He lived in a group home. He made this amazing artwork, folk art, outsider art. Anyway, my dad was a folk art dealer, collector, and that's how he, met Alfred, and he started to help him get his art supplies and pipe tobacco. Pat's dad was a journalist for the Akron Beacon Journal. He wrote a story about Alfred. So we both, independently of each other, had this very one-of-a-kind person in our lives, and he used to leave voice messages on our answer machine at home. And we would both come home from like middle school and high school with Alfred on our voicemail. And he would say stuff like, Jim Carney, you better give me my pipe tobacco and my crayons, and if you don't bring it, you're a D flat, you're a black key. That was one of his expressions.
It was like his biggest insult. And I think, he was, I think he thought they were very dissonant, the Black Keys on the piano. So he'd call you a D flat.
So like when we were trying to think of a name to put on this demo that we were going to send to some labels, we weren't even a band yet. We'd never played a show. What are we going to call the band? Pat said, well, we call it the Black Keys. Instantly, I, knew what it was. It's kind of like the weirdest thing. Like only the two of us could really know about it. Yeah. And I instantly said yes, and it's been our name ever since.
It's really a story about friendship and perseverance, and hard work. They discovered they had this astonishing musical bond, but then they had to build a friendship on top of that. So I think that's really the story.